Good morning, everybody. It's Monday, May the 6th. We're out here by Nobleford, and I think it's about 8:30 a.m. Soil temperature is 2 degrees, and we're currently checking out a flax field, looking to see if there's any frost damage on any of the seedlings. So let's see if we can find some here. Alright, here's one of the barley fields I was in last week where I took some pictures of the frost banding. And you can see it's pretty much made a full recovery now. You can see right here the leaf tips actually did die off. They turned white and they're dead. But underneath that, it's healthy. It's continuing to push out new leaf. And even a second leaf is starting to come on this one here. So all in all, she's recovering pretty good. See the odd volunteer canola here and there. Cotyledons are frosted off on that, but it's pushing out a new leaf from that growth point. So didn't do as much damage as that frost could have done, all in all. But we'll continue following up with these fields this week and see how things are recovering. Alright, here I'm in a field that got sprayed with Blackhawk on the 27th, and you can see the flicksweed here is definitely showing the symptoms. We got lots of color change. We got purpling of the lower leaves, and the new growth is getting bleached out. So, you know, overall it ain't dead yet, but it's stopped growing and it's going down. Then if we move over here, you can see a dandelion, and you can see we got, you know, severe leaf cupping. We got curling, so that's that phenoxy doing that. So that is definitely a hurting unit right now. We're just looking at a pea field. This one was seeded on April 13th, quite deep into the moisture, and it's looking pretty good. It's just really emerging now. Starting to see the first leaves unfolding. So it looks like we got pretty good root development. Everything looks good. There's no sign of frost damage or nothing on any of these. Some of them, the early ones, were just barely starting to hit the surface when we got that cold weather. So no sign of pea weevil damage or anything yet either, but still a little early for them yet. Alright, I'm over by Nobleford in a field that got sprayed pre-burn about 3 weeks ago now. This was a liter glyphosate plus the Corex, and I showed you last week that the flicksweed was all really sick and going down. And this week, it's after the rain and a couple days of warmth here, it's pretty much it's crispy. It's just coming apart. This is where that big patch of green brome was that I showed probably 3-4 episodes ago, and it's pretty much all dried up and gone now. You can still see, like, this was some of the juvenile ones here that were just coming up, and they're either dead and crispy or they're purpled out, you know, showing Roundup symptoms on them, and they're all pretty much done. There might be another flush here, but we've done what we can for now. Alright, I'm up by Carmen Gauge checking out some barley that got seeded last week. It's not emerged yet, but I just found this little cutworm right here. It's kind of hard to see because you see the colors of dirt, but there you go. So it's hard to tell exactly which one that is at the moment, but it's probably, I would say that's either a dusky or a red-backed cutworm. So still kind of a little fart, but they get large surprisingly fast. So we'll have to keep an eye on this field and see what it looks like as it emerges. So make sure these guys aren't doing too much feeding. Alright, I just got back to the truck, so I'm just consulting my cutworm pests of crops of the Canadian prairies from Agri-Food Canada. And looking at the pictures here, I would say that was definitely a red-backed cutworm that I found there. And if you look down here, you can see that we're right in the right time zone for overwintered larvae. So this is kind of a handy guide. It'll tell you kind of when you can expect to see damage from certain varieties of cutworm. So if you don't have this one is a good book to pick up when you see it at tours in the summer. It's very handy. Now here's a farm that knows how to treat their agronomist right. Meals in the field, Tupperware style. Okay, this week I have Valerie Wilton here from Gowan, and we're standing in a patch of wild oats in a wheat field, so she's going to talk for a minute about what she thinks here.
Thanks, Lyle. Yes, this is a wheat field that was not treated with a pre-emergent. With resistance growing in Western Canada and certainly in Southern Alberta, as many as 70% of the fields have Group 1 or Group 2 wild oat resistance. And we're telling growers, don't even bother testing anymore. Just assume that you have Group 1 or Group 2 wild oat resistance and manage for it. And that means using a Group 8 or Group 8 and 3 in the case of Fortress, and Group 8 with Avidex on your cereals, or a Group 3 Edge on your canola or pulses. And in this case, what I would have recommended is that the grower get ahead of the wild oats by using a fall application of either Avidex or Fortress, and putting it down late fall once the soil cools down, and then you've got one step or one jump ahead on the wild oats for the spring. And it's one job out of the way. Fall, we say, is the best time to consider putting a pre-emergent down, and then if you miss that window, you've got all winter if it's a open winter, or you've got spring. But don't plan on spring, because if you miss that window, you've got no backup. So in this field, with the wild oats as heavy as they are in this patch, if the field was all covered like this, you could stand to lose substantial yield. I would say anywhere from 25 to 50% yield loss, and especially in these patches of heavy wild oats. So wild oats are the #1 yield robbing weed, and we need to get ahead of them, because if they get ahead of the crop, that's when they take the most yield.
Okay, thank you, Valerie. All right, and here's the state of our winter wheat trial as of today. So control on the left here, you can see I was able to wash all the dirt off the roots. It was pretty blocky on there, and I ran out of water, so they're still a little dirty. This is the Nature's 8, looks pretty good. Pretty robust crowns, hard to tell though because it's a bit on the dirty side. Onto the Actigrow, we got bigger crowns, looks a little healthier. Now that's probably due to the potash that's in that product, and much better root growth than what we saw last week. I guess I picked a good patch on that one this time. The Excite Bio looking pretty good, very nice, very healthy. Overall looks great. In the field, really, you can't see any difference between these. They're all pretty much the same height. You know, all of them suffered a little bit of frost damage on the leaf tips, and they're all recovering pretty well. That's all for this one. I want to try to keep these videos short and to the point, but I got so much material this week, I might make a second video, so subscribe and you'll be able to see that one.